Hello and good day to you, my beautiful friends. I do hope you are well. Welcome to episode 50, 50 of Cross Button VR, our journey into the world of PSVR2, a show for those who would like to share in our love for the world of VR. Now, I'm your host, Laurie, and I'm here to let you know that we are part of the Cross Players. So if you like what you hear, check out links to all of our stuff in the description for this very episode. And if you are watching us on YouTube, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons if you have not done so already. And this week, you really should check out the rest of the content because it's the triumphant return of the Cross Players podcast, which you two were on. Who two? What? Yeah, no, because I haven't introduced you, have I? I wonder who I'm with this week. I wonder who it could be that I'm with this week. Well, no, it is an honour to be joined by two of the most Moorish influencers in the metaverse. It's Ben and Alex. Hello.
Hello.
Moorish.
And if you would like more of these two, get them on the Cross Players podcast.
There we
I'm
go.
going to have to get used to not saying Crosscast. That's going to be tough.
Yep. The Cross Players podcast.
Yeah.
TCP.
Yeah, no, I was listening to that today. It's a very good episode.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, it was good fun. Good to be back.
Nice to be back, yeah.
Tweaks to the format, making it a bit more snappy.
Yep.
So, yeah.
But we like
happy with it.
Good.
Just nice to talk flat games.
Yeah.
With good friends.
Yeah, well, no flat games today, please. We're talking VR. Only VR. We might talk a bit of flat games as well, actually. But let's start off with the news and let's talk about the state of play. And I'm sure you're going to be going over the whole of the state of play on the next Cross Players podcast next week. But before then, let's get in there quickly and talk about the VR stuff. So they teased beforehand there was going to be some VR PSVR2 content on there, and there were two games, so not a massive amount, but better than nothing. I kind of did expect them to be absolutely no mention of PSVR2. It would not surprise me, and also I would have been like, well, it is what it is. But they did have two games, and one of them was leaked earlier, along with the rest of the contents of the state of play, which must have pleased Sony. No, and this was Metro Awakening VR. So this is a full VR entry, not a hybrid game or anything. It's a full ground up built for VR entry in the Metro franchise. Yep. And none of us have played Metro. None of us have got any knowledge of this franchise, which is going to make for an interesting chat now. People tuning in, it's like, yeah, let's listen to what these gaming experts have to say about it. But yeah, I mean, it looks very, very good, this VR game.
Yeah, cracking looking. Really nice graphically. Very
fidelity
impressive.
wise. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the reason we haven't got any experience of Metro, I've never been excited by that as a franchise and as a prospect of kind of I've always kind of had this view of it as kind of sort of AA first person shooter with horror elements, and none of that really appeals to me. But having said that, I know it is very well regarded, and this from this trailer does look like at least let's say superior quality compared to a lot of stuff that we've seen in VR. So to that extent, I'm excited for it. It's a shame it's a franchise that I'm not that arsed about. But quality-wise, yeah, it looks very good.
I mean, it's worth noting that this is a prequel to the other games in this series, so they've designed it as for newcomers like us who won't feel like they're missing out on anything. It's not like it's going to be a continuation of a story. There's not going to be characters. I suppose you might see characters in this that then appear in the later games, and so there'll be some nice nods and stuff for fans of the series. But for you're not going to miss out on anything, which is one thing. It's made by Vertigo Games, obviously, who just released Arizona Sunshine, which was very well regarded, and after the fall as well, which Alex, you've obviously been playing as well. So they've got some good chops to them, these guys, when it comes to
and 7
shooters,
which we loved.
Oh yeah, that classic first person shooter. Yeah,
but they have a strong VR pedigree already.
They do. Yeah,
fair.
they are. Yeah, Vertigo Games are very. They know what they're doing when it comes to VR. And this surely must be their most high profile project, just because I feel like Metro. It's not a massive franchise, obviously, but it is quite a well regarded and quite a popular franchise in that space. it's probably one. I mean, I probably would like it. I think it's a bit too horror-y. Like, it's always looked a bit too horror for me, and I'm just a bit like, I just can't bother with horror. I'm never in the mood for that sort of thing. But I don't really like shooters. But if I'm going to play one, it needs to be something like BioShock, where there is that kind of something about it that makes it the setting or the narrative to it and stuff. There's got to be like an interesting campaign to it. So they have always interested me, but there's never been in the mood to play one. But I should certainly be playing this. I don't think this is a PSVR2 exclusive. I think this is coming to other platforms as well, including the Quest, because obviously they'd be mad to not make it available for Quest. But I think it is been. I have the feeling I think it's coming to PSVR2 first, and then it will come to others. And a lot of games they come to Quest first, and then they get ported to PSVR2. And obviously, then it's a case of like, this doesn't really take advantage of a lot of the stuff here. But I think with this one, I could be wrong. Often I'm wrong about stuff like this. It's coming to PSVR2 first, and it's making use of all the kind of foveated rendering and haptics and triggers and all that kind of jazz. And then they'll have to obviously strip all that out and dial the graphics down to get it running on Quest. So it should be good for. You should be confident that the PC and PSVR2 versions will be the really the best versions, the best place to play this game.
Yeah. And I suppose it's potentially worth pointing out there's not been many positives of an Embracer takeover recently, but I suppose the purchase of Vertigo Games and them now being able to work on this IP, I suppose, is one that could be a good news story for.
Is that are they all part of the Embracer group then? Is that how they've got
so
it?
Vertigo were bought by them last year, I think.
But the company,
Deep Silver,
that's
Deep
the one,
Silver. Yeah.
They're the ones that they own the IP, I take it, or they used to own it.
Yeah.
They're also part
I think
of
that's
Embracer
literally
as well.
the first positive spin I've heard on Embracer. In any
Round of
way, shape,
applause
or
for
form.
Embracer. Great guys. I love that team.
I wasn't trying to put positive spin on them at all,
Come on,
but
Alex,
at least you just try and make a good news story out of something. Like, there's not many of them going round about any of these kind of things at the minute. So,
No, that's true.
Yeah. Oh, so Metro Awakening. Don't get it confused with Link's Awakening, because it's a very different style of game. Very different.
Yes,
very
don't buy
different
this for you,
vibe.
kids.
It's not the new Link's Awakening game.
sure.
But yeah, anyway, it looks good, and it's good that we are getting, because obviously we've now Resident Evil 4 came out. We've been saying recently, what's next in terms of something that's going to justify the ownership of this headset, something you can only play here. And obviously, this isn't going to be something that's only available on PSVR2. It is something that's going to make use of that power. And we've always said, if you've got this headset tethered up to your PS5, if it's just going to be running these mobile games that you could be running on a Quest, then what's the point of it? So it's good that there's going to be something that's going to be very high fidelity and very pushing the medium and giving you something that's very very polished and works well. Yeah, so that's good. No date for it, just 2024. So probably guessing it's going to be kind of Q3, Q4, maybe towards the end of the year, would be my guess. So something to look forward to for latter half of the year. But before then, there was another game that was featured. Anything else you want to say on Metro before I move on?
Nope.
Nope. I'm sure we'll see it again in a few months' time. There'll be more trailers, more information, more dates and stuff. But the next thing they revealed was coming was a game called Legendary Tales, which is a not a very good name for a game. And that is coming very soon. That is coming out next week.
Yeah, another game on the 8th of February. There seems to be something about the 8th of February at the minute.
Yeah, hold that thought, because there's actually, I've got, in a minute, I'll sort of rounded up all the games that are coming out next week, or this week as this episode lands. But yeah, Legendary Tales. This is a game that's been on Steam PC VR in early access for a long time. Like I said, I think like nearly a couple of years now. And it's now coming, it's kind of almost being released properly on PC and PSVR2 as well. So it's like had its all the kind of testers and iterations, and it's been added to and iterated on and stuff, and it's now ready for the big time. So yeah, quite the coup to get featured in a state of play broadcast. I guess it must be getting quite a lot of good vibes and feedback from it. I mean, I've read up on some reviews and thoughts on the early access, and yeah, people seem to be very positive. It's kind of like a Skyrim style, or sort of dungeon crawler type thing where you've got kind of swords and magic, and you can kind of put your points and XP and develop your skill points in either of those areas. Working your way through a campaign has got a narrative to it. The whole thing's built to play in co-op, and what I liked about it is that you can see all of your co-op companions. You can just kind of like floating heads and arms. You can see their whole figures and so talk to them and stuff. So again, like with all other good VR stuff, that social experience will probably be a good part of it. You know, if it's fun to just a fun place where you can meet up with your mates, a bit like playing walkabout mini golf, and you can walk through some dungeons together and smash up some skeletons. Could be fun.
Yeah. When I seen this, I immediately got Dungeons of Eternity vibes. So
Yes.
that's a game that we've been playing on Quest, and I think it's a game that PSVR2, I think it'll do really well in PSVR2, and I think it's a game PSVR2 needs. It's that different type of social experience, and if it plays anything like Dungeons of Eternity, people will love this, because it's just so much fun to go in there wielding your weapons, taking the heads off skeletons, fighting through everything, and just trawling through it, because it is just fun, and it seems very, very highly regarded on Steam. It seems to have a really big community. It does seem to be quite expensive. I don't think they've confirmed the price of this on PlayStation yet, but I think on Steam it's like 45 quid or something. It's quite an expensive game. I've seen people talking about it, and people were very quick to slate it just because of how it looks, which I thought was incredibly unfair. And I think it's one of these games that is, well, every VR game is difficult to show off.
Yeah.
Trying to show off a VR game is almost impossible, but I think they did a decent job of being able to do that. And from a really small studio, I think of about 5 or 6 people. I don't think there's many people in this Korean studio that actually, I think they're Korean, that make this. And it's going, because it's going to use the power of the PSVR2 when it's going into, well, it's had 2 years early access on PC VR, and it's going into 1.0 and PSVR2 at the same time and not coming to Quest. So it's missing that mass market because it obviously can't, it's needing more power. So you hope when it gets into PSVR2 it does well and people don't just write it off, because I think you'd be silly to. I mean, we've not played it yet. We've literally just had some codes come through that we can, but we haven't tried it yet, so we can't say anything, but we will be able to talk about it next week. But I think this could be very good. I just get good vibes from this one.
Yeah, on the blog it's 90 native 90 FPS. So does that mean it doesn't use reprojection, right?
No reprojection, Laurie, yeah.
No reprojection, thank you. And it's got eye tracking and haptics and triggers and stuff. And it's foveated rendering as well, which they say makes the resolution 2 to 2.5 times higher than the original. And they've got a little picture on the blog post showing you how much sharper the point they're looking at is than compared to the rest of the periphery, which is soft focused.
Yeah, I think it might look better playing it in isolation. I think next to all these other high budget, glossy, Stellar Blade, even Metro, having them like in and around this game didn't do it any favors, because I think it was quite jarring going, oh, is this 480p?
Yeah.
But I think playing it in isolation ourselves and getting to experience it properly, I think, Alex could be right about this one. Certainly based on those sort of the Steam feedback that it's got so far. So, fingers crossed.
I absolutely agree with you. Any VR game looks terrible in motion when you're not the one playing it. I think that's a big problem with the genre. And I think the Metro trailer, that clearly wasn't someone playing that in VR. They're just using probably just like a regular controller camera, just moving through it as a kind of on a dev kit side of it. That wasn't a VR view, whereas this is clear they've just captured VR footage of in-game of it. This is like actual gameplay, and it looks terrible non-VR as a result. And that is a problem with the medium, that it's just very hard to convey what's going on. You just kind of have to sort of create the fake footage really in the trailers to make it look good and just try and capture this is the vibe when you're playing it. But then because I've tried it when you do like a share play, if you capture you do something cool in the game and you try and capture it and you watch it back and you're like, oh god, this is very hard to watch, to watch. You have to really keep your head still and not move around, because it's just very unpleasant for anyone else watching otherwise. So when all our WhatsApp group was saying, oh my god, this looks rubbish, and it's like, well, yeah, it does, but I'm sure it wouldn't look like that. It's not going to look like that when you're in the game. And looking out on the blog post of it, actually all the stills of it and some of the sort of just the short GIFs and stuff they've got on it, it does look a lot more impressive than I think what people give it credit for. I can see why it's not running on Quest, put it that way. Good.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, obviously there must be something that Sony saw in it to give it that platform when there's lots of other games coming out that weren't featured. You know, they could have bulked out that state of play. I'm sure there would have been plenty of VR games that would have killed to be featured and had that platform. And Sony could have just been like, yeah, stick it in there. Yeah, you go on. Stick a trailer in there, but they didn't. So they obviously saw something in this to justify including it. So, yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Cool. Well, we'll find out what the views are on that one probably next week. So that was it for the state of play. Yeah, just 2 games. I wonder if they'll do more. I wonder if we'll get more another VR kind of showcase. I suspect what we'll see next will be like they'll do like they do where they just sell on the PlayStation blog and they said, we're going to do 4 blog posts over the next couple of hours that will be games that are coming up, and they just do it that way. Confound everyone. It's like, why are you doing it like this? But another game that was announced this week that is a port is coming is a game that, Alex, you saw this, and I think you broke the news following a press release, was Jupitergrad 2, The Lost Station, sequel to Jupitergrad. And so, this is getting a port. This is a Quest game that's been ported across. Looks a bit, it's kind of Borderlands-esque again as well. It's very cel-shaded, cartoony, very bright, colourful. Great. It looks nice. Very colourful space station. This is kind of like exploration, puzzle kind of thing. You're sort of zero gravity, so you're sort of floating about. Yeah.
It's funny because I tweeted out about this today and someone came back to me and said, it would be great to have a Metroidvania on PSVR2. I'm like,
okay. Is that what it is?
So, I mean, I'd never seen it described as a Metroidvania, but they seem to know more about the game than I did, so I'm not saying it's not, but I thought that is interesting. The first one was in PSVR1, so people are now wondering whether that will get ported to PSVR2 as well if this one's coming, which they haven't confirmed yet. But it's good to see more games coming, and this one I think is a fairly well thought of series, and it does look pretty cool. So another good addition, hopefully. Okay,
well, I'm sure one of us will play that shortly and report back. Next up, we have Ghostbusters, which we've all played. It's a kind of nice, fun multiplayer game. They laid out a roadmap of content, and they are sticking to that, which is good. So this week we had the Slimer update. So put Slimer in the game. There's a nice little trailer where you're back in the mansion where the tutorial first is, and you're looking around for Slimer. I don't know. Is that a game mode they've added, or is that just a one-off thing where you're hunting Slimer in your house? Or
I think it's a game. I think it is a new game mode, and it comes with Slimer and Dan Aykroyd. So
Dan Aykroyd's back playing his character Ray, which is quite cool. I think he's on the voice. You get like the walkie-talkie of someone guiding you through what you need to do and stuff. So they've obviously got Dan Aykroyd back in to record some lines, which is pretty cool.
It makes me want to jump in and try it again, see how it has developed.
Yeah. And it also makes me wonder, if they're putting this out now, does that mean they've got something else up their sleeve for when the movie comes out in March? I think.
Yeah,
they'll have something
on their roadmap. They had
whatever it's called.
Well, on their roadmap, they had like new game mode. This was like a third new game mode, and then it's just like mysterious big update was the next thing, which is going to come in March. So
that's cool.
Next month now. The film is out, I think, on the 22nd, I think, of March.
Yeah,
the new
today.
film.
Yeah.
There will be a big content out of it, and I hope it is something that's kind of narrative-y that will just tie into the events of the film. And I think Sony obviously committed to this, which is good, and obviously End Dreams are not going anywhere. Hope. We've always said we like this game. There's just not enough to it. So if they can keep adding more game modes to it, and there's something, often with these live service games, there comes a tipping point, doesn't there, where there's like, okay, now they've overhauled it enough, or they've added enough, and they've responded to enough feedback, and they've balanced it enough that it's actually now it's really fun, and it's good, because the bits that we've played of it have been enjoyable, haven't they? They've been good. It's a good fun game to play. Someone was asking me on Twitter, is it worth downloading this and playing it? I said to them, if you've got friends you can play it with, people it's really good fun. It's not a solo game, I think you get bored of it very quickly. I mean, if you like Ghostbusters, I suppose, and you can pick it up on sale, and you want to just bash through it quickly. But playing with randoms, I found very irritating, just because there's lots of American teenagers that don't shut up.
Did you actually play it, Ben? Have you played
No,
it?
no,
You've not played it. No, we should.
I played it. Oh my god.
We
Oh,
should
yeah,
try
jump in.
it. Yeah, we should try it because there's a good foundation there for a decent game. Like the actual gameplay of it's solid. If there's 3 or 4 of you playing, and it just needs maybe, as you say, if they do come for some sort of narrative element to the film and a more of a single player experience, that really adds something to it. But and then if they keep adding the game modes, I think the biggest criticism was it got boring quite quickly because there wasn't a lot to do, which is a lot of the criticism in that type of game. But the one thing you will say is the base game is not bad, and the base gameplay is not bad. There was a few bugs which I think they've ironed out now, like a few bigger bugs that they've ironed out now. So, I mean, they've got stuff to work with, and just hopefully, as you say, they just keep building on it and they stick to that roadmap, and we see what that big update in March is.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think the trailer for the movie looks great. I can imagine getting caught up in the hype a little bit and fancying a game of this around then, particularly if they do drop something that ties in with the film. So yeah, I'll be up for that.
I mean, they're very lucky this is on Quest. I mean, I can imagine this will be a huge game on Quest next month if they put the base game on sale, which is probably already been on sale.
Yeah,
put it on sale. Yeah, I can see it doing really big just because a lot of people will play, watch the film like, I bloody love Ghostbusters, and then when they could put out a trailer for this, you can bet that if you go and see the film, there'll be a trailer for this game at the start of it, or in the adverts when you're sitting there waiting for the film to start, and people are like, oh yeah, borrow my mate's Quest, play this, or buy my own Quest. So yeah, I think it will do well, and it's a bit like these live service games. It's just kind of endless. There's no, you just almost kind of grind for nothing really. Like Destiny, it never really appeals to me for that sort of reason, just because it's just kind of endless content that just keep coming. But at least with Destiny, they do add these kind of story pack things, and if they can do that with this game, I would absolutely jump in for those. But it's just that kind of constant, just keep playing game modes, keep getting points, keep getting things you can spend on unlockables and stuff. I'm not bothered about that kind of stuff. And I think the story, I know there is some end to it where if you keep doing enough of those, what do you call them, the rounds of whatever the game is, whatever they call them, eventually you do get to a point where the big bad ghost, you can go and take him on and essentially
I don't
end the
think
campaign.
I actually got to. I don't think I got to that stage.
I don't
think I was far off it, but I don't think I got quite that far.
So, Ghostbusters, yeah, good to see it's been committed to and been given a chance to grow and expand. So I wanted to just cover off the first bit of news. It's not really news, but it's more just summing up how busy a week it is this week for PSVR2. So today, when this episode goes live, everyone's listening to this on the day we're out, on Tuesday the 6th, you've got Mixture coming out, which is probably the highlight for me for the week. What's coming out?
Yeah, me too.
I'm not to rain on your parade, but I'm not sure this is coming out on Tuesday.
Oh, what? Really?
They have said it's coming out and they've confirmed it's coming out, and then I got an email earlier in the week.
I think you're wrong, Lloyd, but okay.
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think there's been some mixed messaging somewhere, because that's what Pert put out and said it was coming on the 6th, and then I got an email from him earlier in the week, which I emailed back to try and I've not had any confirmation, which said the demo was coming to Steam Next Fest next week, and the digital version would be released on the 1st of March. So I have got back. I'm hoping it still comes out on the 6th, because I'm the same as you. I think this looks great. But I'm just have a wee question mark on that one.
I mean, no, there's a tweet that they have reposted just on their Twitter feed. It's the top of their Twitter feed, saying it's official Mixture coming to PSVR2 6th of Feb. So they haven't said otherwise, and they're still tweeting to say it is.
Yeah.
By the time you hear this,
You'll
know
one way or
either
another.
way.
Yeah,
Either be out or it won't.
Yeah, well, if it is, then you can edit all this out, Ben.
Or not.
Oh no,
Or not,
yeah.
no. Okay, well, okay. Supposedly, thanks, Alex, for ruining this little quick bit.
I'm not.
Alex, be
ruining-
quiet. Mixture today. Thursday, you've got maybe Thursday, you've got Border Bots, which Alex, you've been playing. We'll talk about that in a second. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. Ooh, I don't know. Dead Hook also out on Thursday. I've been playing. You say no?
I said, yeah, no, it's not coming out. I said, yeah, I told you about that.
I don't know what you're talking about. Legendary Tales
ridiculous.
coming out on Thursday. And then finally, Overdark, a Do Not Open story out on Friday. Have you seen Overdark?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I've not really seen this before, but it's just like a kind of.
It's not an hour game. It's not one of.
No, it's a puzzle. Well, you say that, but it's a puzzle escape room thing, but also with a kind of survival horror element to it. And if you take too long to open the puzzles, someone bursts into the room and murders you, and you have to restart the game. I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow.
And all the reviews of it. This is the sequel to Do Not Open, which is the original game, and the reviews of it were pretty harsh, saying that it's a fun bit, but because the solutions are randomized, you can't just follow a guide. So every time you're doing it, and if you die, you have to start from the beginning and find a new solution the next time around because it's all randomized. And yeah, the guy will burst into the room and just kill you, and you start again. It's very hard to that pressure element. It's very hard to solve in the time you're given. And then if you're seen, you can try and avoid and dodge and hide from them and stuff whilst you're trying to also solve these puzzles. But invariably, the guy sees you and kills you, and you have to start again. So it sounds very, very tough and punishing and very grueling experience. So hopefully, if they made a sequel, they've taken on board that feedback and thought, well, maybe let's just not make it. Let's put some checkpoints in and stuff and make it less random and stuff, so people can just get through it however they want to. Let's hope.
Yeah,
And that is one of the definites that's coming out this week, is it?
I think so.
Is that confirmed? So at least half the games Laurie listed are coming out.
Well, I mean,
For sure.
These things, they're all prone to last-minute delays. But in terms of, if you look at release schedules as things stand, officially, those are all the release dates that are coming out this week.
Chock-a-block.
No, I don't think Dead Hook has officially been delayed yet, but they did email us to say that they were having specific issues with it. So it was quite an interesting issue that what they're saying is they're playing this game on the dev kits and it's running absolutely perfectly on the dev kits, but on retail units it's not. So when they put it out to the viewers, specific people have kind of reported issues that they can't see or replicate in a dev kit, and then they've got their own retail units and they're seeing it on the retail unit, so they're investigating what's going on.
So ran fine for me. Just what I'm saying.
Yeah, so they did say it wasn't that and everything, and they said they didn't know whether they were definitely going to have to delay it at that point, but they did think it was looking likely. But I don't think there's been any official delay at this point yet. But it's likely it probably will be delayed.
As things stand, when we're recording this show, we have due to get Mixture, Border Bots, Dead Hook, Legendary Trails, and Overdark all this week between Tuesday and Friday.
We'll see what we get.
It sounds like some may get delayed, and if that happens, then tough. There'll still be some other stuff to play.
I love it. Like Alex is like an industry mole.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
you should go. Okay. You should go work for Upload VR, and when they have their website pages that talk about releases that are coming, you can go and update them. Say, hold on,
that's not right.
This might be bullshit.
You've not got Astrobot on there.
Yeah, I mean, it might be the nature of these games and the development, the small teams making them and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure they set these dates, they try and work to it, but then obviously things get found at the last minute and things have to get pulled. But Border Bots, if that does come out this week,
it does.
Playing it, Alex. Let's talk about it and maybe.
Yeah. So for anyone that's listening and interested, when I posted a little tweet the other day of my January PSVR2 stats, and I had a game that said redacted, and the redacted game was Border Bots because I played a lot of this game, and I love it. It seems to be the thing at the moment, a Papers, Please type game. That's what it seems to be the thing, and that's what it is. And you are manning this border patrol station of all these bots that are operating in this country, and you've got specific rules and everything you need to follow each day. As the story goes on, you get more things you need to look out for, you get more things, and essentially you need to analyse these robots, make sure they're sticking to all the rooms, give them a green tick or a cross, but you're doing all the things, and I think that's what makes it really cool. So as the robots come to you, you can 3D print all of the different robots to like then compare whether they are the right models. You look around them, you can turn them round, and you're going right into each bit to make sure. Then as it goes a bit further, they start to mod themselves, and they've got a bit saying which is modded, and you need to identify whether like they're modded and they've registered their mod on their like data pad that they give you and all these things. But so that's the kind of key gameplay, and that just kind of adds in layers as you go on. But it's got a really cool story as well. You've got this like nice apartment that you live in, and you've got these little like robot companions who are looking after you, your AI assistant, your Hoover that talks to you, your toaster that talks to you, and all. And it's just funny. It's well written. It's not too long, but it's not too short. I think it must have took me 10, 11 hours, maybe a wee bit more. So it's not necessarily a short game. And yeah, I really like that it plays. I mean, we got the code for this a long time ago. So this was supposed to come out in October, I think. And then it got delayed because the Quest, they were having issues with the Quest port, I think it was. So the Quest version they had the issues with, and they wanted to release it all at the same time, which meant the delay to February. So we've had this to play for quite a while, and I played it over kind of Christmas and early January. And it was lovely. It ran perfectly, like I had no issues with it at all. Looks really nice art style, really nice setting. Yeah, I'd highly recommend people check this out. I think you'll enjoy it if you like that type of game.
Wow. Strong words.
I can't say too much about the story or anything because we are still technically under embargo, but I can talk about it generally.
How long did you say? You finished it, you say?
Yeah, I finished it, and I think it was about 12 hours maybe.
Oh, wow. So quite chunky.
It's a decent-sized game. I've got a gripe. Right, I'll give you my one gripe. You need to complete the game more than once to get the platinum.
Ooh.
And it doesn't have an option. It doesn't seem to have an option at this point in time to go and maybe do the bits.
Like a chapter select or anything.
A chapter select, because there's specific things where you need to make decisions on what you're doing, whether you go with one way or go another. And it gives you a trophy for either one. So you would basically need to replay the story maybe 2 or 3 times to probably get all the trophies. And I don't like games that make you do that.
No.
I mean, I can understand but I would just be like giving you a trophy for making a decision. I wouldn't give it for making A or B, because
or have a chapter select, right? So you can go back and do it
again. Yeah,
see the other path. Yeah,
because you know how we like a platinum.
Laurie's glossing over. Yeah. Like what? Who gives a fuck?
People do care about these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think the solution there is just don't bother get the platinum. Then just go on with your life.
If you're liking a game that much, you kind of. It does give you that incentive to, and particularly if you finish a game and then you're like 4 trophies away from getting the platinum, and you're like, but then you have to play through the whole thing again. It is a bit frustrating.
I think I roughly am like. Right. I think that's maybe about. I think there's maybe about 52 trophies or something. It's got quite a lot of trophies, and I think I'm only missing maybe 4 or 5, which is annoying.
Yeah,
darn
that's
it.
A shame.
Shucks.
Gosh darn it. What will we do? No, it sounds like a cool game though.
I think people will enjoy it if you like that type of game, and it is a wee bit different to the stuff that's on there because there's no real action or anything to it. It's just funny, and you're doing stuff, and it layers as you go, so it doesn't get. It's not like you're doing the same thing every time. It's more like you're doing a wee bit more and a wee bit more, but it never gets too confusing, or it doesn't put too many layers onto it. So even if it layers it, it doesn't make you do them all at once. It'll just maybe pick a few different things for each day as you're going through. So
yeah, it's another one, not for broadcast. Same sort of game. That Papers, Please. It was a good makes for a good video game genre.
Yeah, definitely. Particularly VR when you're actually doing the things.
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of only an indie genre. You've never seen a big mainstream game like that. Like, imagine if there was like kind of a Mario game that was that sort of chaotic kind of layering on of mechanics and speed and stuff. It'd be interesting. Anyway,
maybe one day.
Cool. Well, anything else you wanna lay down on that one, Alex?
No, that's everything for me, Laurie.
No. Okay. Well, Ben, you and I have been playing the same game. It seems like that you have now finished it, which I'm quite jealous of, and that is of course Call of the Mountain.
Yes. Obviously, we've spoken about it a lot. Particularly in the the last few weeks, so not a lot else to say. But I finished it off today actually, and I have my arm aches as I'm recording this, just from the climbing and the some of the battles really go on a long time, because I feel like it's quite stingy with handing out the crafting materials to make
The good
powerful arrows.
Yeah.
So you just end up like the last half of a fight. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but the last half of a fight, I'm just pelting these massive machines with shit arrows. So then they're taking like 7 damage off it.
The game is very ridiculous, isn't it? Because in real life there would be no damage at all for hitting a giant robot with a stick
a match.
with an arrow.
Yeah. So yeah, some of the battles go on a long, long time. But yeah, I think this is my favourite VR game. Now, having finished it, I was just playing through it and just having a whale of a time, and in awe at some of the, like when you get to the top of a legendary climb and you just look behind you, see where you've come from, look into the distance. It is just like, yeah, this is what we need.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about. This is what I bought this system for, is to be wowed constantly in a game. And it is a game that, wouldn't work outside of VR. It takes advantage of every aspect of it. Even, I hadn't noticed this until today, even, the bits where you jump and you do that weird, thing with your arms to fling yourself forward.
Yeah.
There's a little puff of air. You know that the headset can do that air thing where it blows into your face.
Fucking way.
Yeah, it does that every time you do that jump. Check.
Really? I'm gonna
watch out for it next time you do it.
I bloody well will. Yeah. Of course I will.
And I was like, because it does add to that sense of rushing forward. And I noticed it. And I was like, oh, shit! I think it's blowing air into my face when I do that, and it definitely does.
Yeah, I love, and that was when we talked about last week about when the first time we played it, all these little things were annoying. But now when I do those long jumps, I think it's so cool to reach behind you, and it's in slow motion, so you got all the time in the world, but you feel like you're like an action movie. You get the ice pick things, and you slam it into the wall at the right moment, and you think, wow, that would be so cool.
Yeah, it is just cool. It's like from start to finish. The story, we could take it or leave it, but it's just amazing being in that world and just doing cool shit. And I mean, that again, getting back to trophies, makes me kind of I think I'll dip back in now and again and try and clear up the few remaining trophies I've got left when I fancy a game of it.
Do you have to go? I presume you get trophies for getting all those targets that are hidden around the levels.
Yeah.
Because that was quite fun though, playing, because they are quite well hidden, some of them.
Yeah. So again, I hope there's some sort of system for being able to know what ones I didn't get, because that would be a bit annoying to be like, right, you've got 7 left. Go and find them in one of the 12 levels. Hopefully there's some way of tracking that. But yeah, I think this is the strength of the trophy system, is it does add that longevity to a game, because I finished it. I've got nothing else to see now. But if I fancy playing it, and I was the same with Spider-Man last year, so it's like, I fancy playing a bit of this. I've got some trophies to get. That's your excuse to go back to it and feel like you're still progressing and, aiming towards something. So, love it. And as I said, I think it's my favourite PSVR2 game now, officially.
Yeah, and I think I'm probably going to end up the same as well. And that's, again, I feel so stupid that we waited so long and we've sort of put out, so we've really argued quite heavily about what our favourite games were. We missed this one off first time round. But the thing that got, when you said about just being in that world, obviously I'm a big fan of Horizon, played both the main games. And in that, like Aloy, you can set her up, pointing her towards a mountain, and she will be up over it and down the other side in about a minute. And there's no sense of scale at all. The mountain is essentially tiny because you can get up and over it, and all the trees you just run through, you just kind of ignore them. Whereas in this, the sense of scale, you are climbing over these. There's one of the levels where there's it's kind of like a battlefield where there's all these sort of rusted out shells of all the old robots and stuff that you climb over them, and you just climb up their rusty shells and stuff and up and over them, and you just feel so it just really brings that world to life in such an interesting way. And I think for fans of the Horizon IP, it's just such a brilliant way to see and experience that world and to really get a different perspective on it and a deeper understanding and feeling of like what it would be like. Because you just sort of, you stop sometimes, just stand around and look around and think, oh, wow, this feels so like realistic. Like I am just some sort of lone survivor in a post-apocalyptic world, just wandering around, and there's no one else around, and you just kind of hear the kind of utter silence. It's just really like haunting and brilliant. That's just it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it does bring that Horizon world to life better than the base games could ever do. It feels very much like a side story to all of that, and that's what it is. But it does bring that world to life, and so when you see like the remnants of the past, the and civilization as it was before, and it just like, oh yeah, that hits because you're like, oh, I recognise that structure or that method of transport that's rusted out, and yeah, it does an excellent job of like storytelling without telling much of the story, if that makes sense. It's very good.
Yeah,
very
show
clever.
not tell.
Exactly. Yeah, love it.
Well, we should maybe just do like a whole spoiler cast episode one. We should do a whole special episode just dedicated just to Call of Mountain because people are going to get fed up of us talking about it, I think, soon. But for now, we will continue on.
I definitely need to play it soon.
Yeah, and then we can talk about it again.
Yeah.
So do that.
And play the other Horizon games as well, Alex. Then we can do a big spoiler cast for the whole.
Yeah.
The whole.
See,
lore
I can now see me playing them on the portal.
Yeah, they would be good for that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let's move on because I could just quite happily talk about this game for the whole rest of the episode, but we must move on because we have something else to talk about. Before we do move on, though, I just want to let everyone know that if they'd like to support us, they can give the podcast a sub on the service they're using, and please do leave us a review. You can follow us on Twitter at CrossButtonVR and at The Crossplayers. And for £2 a month, you can join our Patreon. Patreon.com/The Crossplayers, and you can help us produce the show and gain entry into our lovely little WhatsApp group where friends for life are forged or something. And anyone out there, you two laughing like what? Anyone out there that does not happen to be blessed with perfect eyesight, and you want to get some prescription lenses for your PSVR2 or any other VR headset of your choosing. You can check out VR Rock at vr-rock.com. You can get prescription lenses from there. They'll do non-prescription lenses as well if you just want to protect your headset lenses from getting scratched. And you can use the code CBVR to get 10% off and free worldwide shipping. So please do that. Alex did that, and he loves his VR Rock lenses, don't you?
No, Ben loves his.
I love
Is it
mine.
you?
Yes.
You're very
We had this
interchangeable.
conversation last week.
Well, Ben loves them. Alex covets them. He wishes he had them, but he doesn't.
I do.
Good. Right. Well, let's move on to our main topic of the week. And as we are now getting very close to the end of year one of PSVR2. We've got the 1 year anniversary coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll be having a special episode there. We look back over the first year, but we thought it would be fun to lay down some predictions. Everyone loves a predictions episode. And so we're going to talk about our predictions for what we might see in year 2 of the PSVR2. So who would like to go first with their prediction?
I don't mind going first. Let's get the stupid ones out of the way.
What? Okay, just
If
do
we're
one.
not
then
all
for now.
stupid, then we're not doing it.
How many
Better
have
all
you
be
got?
stupid.
How many have you got, Ben? Just
Well, let's start with one and see how it goes.
2 at a time.
So my prediction / hope is, and this is immediately whilst playing Call of the Mountain, I thought to myself, oh my God, and I've recently just played Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
How good would an Uncharted VR game be? And that is my prediction, that we get an Uncharted spin-off.
Okay,
in
well,
VR.
that's not
Can
ridiculous.
see that.
That's not silly.
It's not going to happen, is it?
Well,
But
you could
it would
have
be very cool.
You could have Drake. He just spends most of his time climbing, which clearly they've nailed that. You wouldn't even need to just reuse the engine. Just change the skin of the world to make it look something different.
Yeah, add in a bit of shooting in there as well, and a bit more kind of banter between the characters. I think it could be very cool. And Lost Legacy, I must say, was an excellent game as well.
Yeah.
If anyone hasn't played that, so good.
Yeah, definitely. Unlike Uncharted 4, which kind of overstayed its welcome for me a little bit.
Oh, I love that as well. It was long, but
I did,
Lost
I
Legacy is
did love
nice
it.
and short.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
just too many bits to it. But yeah, Lost Legacy, yeah, perfect length for a game like
Banger.
that. Wish they would just release a Lost Legacy game every couple of years. Just reuse the engine. Just I don't know why
Yeah.
PlayStation Studios have to make their games so like they're amazing when they do launch, but like guys, you don't need to do this every time. Just churn out stuff. Anyway, off topic.
Yep.
Yeah,
Something
I
like
think,
that
yeah.
length, that scope, but in VR, little side story, perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I will give my one because my prediction is a bit similar then. Obviously, it's not Horizon related, but I think we're going to get a Last of Us spin off this year in VR. A standalone side story. And I guess where you're coming from is like, oh, you know, it would work so well. Horizon, they've got the kind of mechanics and everything. For me, I think horror is the VR genre that everyone loves, and Last of Us is their flagship IP now, bar none. And I could see them handing The Last of Us to Firesprite or one of their partners and just saying, make a horror game. You know, you've got someone from Jackson, the town, send them off to some hotel. There is even a little bit of The Last of Us 2 where there's that flashback scene where you go off to that little ski village, and it takes about an hour or two in the game where you're going around some ski village hotel. It's something like that, just self-contained little story. Some survivor or someone that lives in Jackson Town. Yeah, just send them off on a little place in that world. I think The Last of Us is obviously they've just got the remaster of the second one's come out. The TV series is coming out next year, so I think probably by kind of Christmas, if not, it'll be early next year. There'll be my prediction is this, whether it comes out this year or not, I don't know, but it'll be announced this year. There will be a Last of Us VR game.
It's quite fertile ground for having a spin-off as well, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
even in the TV series when they had that whole, was it episode 3, wasn't it?
About
Where
the
it was just
flashback of
complete
the
side. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And they just built on the little bit of lore that was in the first game. They could easily do something brilliant with that. So yeah, so it's another good shout.
Yeah, what are they called? The people that live on the island, is it the Seraphites or something, or is that what they're called?
No idea.
You not played it?
no, played the second one.
Jesus Christ! what am I doing here? Putting me use. God.
It's on my list.
You should play The Last of Us 2. But yeah, I think just that Sony love this thing. They've just put out the documentary today. They've confirmed that part 3. They haven't confirmed it, but they've kind of said they've got their theme and their idea for part 3 now. So I think we'll be seeing part 3 in probably 3 or 4 years' time. So I think what better way to plug the gap. Alex, your turn.
I'm just gonna go a completely different route. So a lot of people have kind of said how like PSVR2 misses that kind of PSVR Worlds type game with the, and I think PlayStation will fill that gap with a kind of almost PlayStation All Stars type game, and you'll have like Kratos and his axe and Aloy and her bow and arrow and just all these little mini bits of all the different characters together in almost a PlayStation All Stars game to showcase what the headset can properly do.
That's a cool idea. Bit of Ghost of Tsushima,
And the swords and stuff, yeah.
So
sword
just like a
fighting.
collection of mini games,
Yeah.
themed around the PlayStation
Yeah,
Studios.
PlayStation
That would
IP
be
studios.
That would be good.
That is bold. That is a bold prediction.
Well, it wouldn't happen, but that's what I predict.
Yeah.
It'd be
Nice.
good.
I like that.
I'd love it to happen. I think that would be an excellent way of getting the PlayStation
Bringing people
IP
in, right? Because
playing-
you're trying to convert PlayStation diehards into VR owners, basically, and that is a smart way to do it. Is sort of kill every bird with one stone. Yeah, not a bad shout at all. Make that a pack-in game.
Mhm.
You might flog a few units.
Yeah, I
VR
mean,
All Stars.
this isn't one of my predictions, but I think we don't know yet what Sony are making first party. We don't know any PlayStation Studios. They did their big state of play, but there was nothing from PlayStation Studios in it, which a lot of people were like, well, what are they making? Obviously, the first half of this year, loads of exclusives, but they're all by other developers.
First or second party, second or third party.
And my guess will be in May or June, there'll be the big kind of E3 style thing, which will lay out the second half of the year. And surely at some point we're going to find out there'll be 2 or 3 games revealed from PlayStation Studios that they do. We're kind of halfway through. We're kind of halfway through PS5's life cycle now. So you think all of their big developers that haven't already released a game, there must be 6 to 7 or 8 of them that will put out a big game this generation within the next 2 to 3 years. So even if it's a couple of years away, they can say we are making Ghost of Tsushima 2 or we are making The Last of Us. Well, yeah. So all these big developers, what they are making, and it must be due to give one of them to arrive late this year. And anyway, my point is, when one of them does, it wouldn't surprise me if there was like it comes with a VR mode or spin-off mode or an hour-long VR experience that's included part of the package.
Yep.
Which I think is the ideal way of doing it.
Yeah, more hybrid games makes the most sense because it mitigates some of the risk of putting out a dedicated VR game and 50 people buying it. If you can put out a big franchise game, know that it will sell regardless of the VR content, and then that's just a bit of icing on top.
I always, for me, the best example that worked really well, I thought, was the Rise of the Tomb Raider, the second one in that reboot trilogy, where there was the VR mansion. Well, there was the kind of Croft mansion. That was like a little hour-long separate puzzle thing, but you could play it in VR. And obviously you play it in non-VR as well, but it's there to be enjoyed in VR. So that, for me, is such a great idea because you can release a big AAA game and you've got, because PSVR2 headset is an accessory essentially. So you can say, look, here's our core games and you can play God of War, but there's also this extra VR mode that is kind of an addition, which you only get access to if you've got the headset. It's kind of like a bonus thing. That seems like a smart way because they don't have to make a whole new game for it, but people that do have the headset will be like, oh, this is great, I'll get to see this even deeper access to it. And I think Call of, as we just been saying about Call of the Mountain, it gives you that deeper perspective on it because all their games are kind of third person action adventure games, so doing a bit of it in first person really is cool.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's my prediction. I wasn't one of my predictions, but I think it's very likely. It is now. Yeah. It is now.
Well, it was sort of in vague prediction territory when Alex was saying about some of the experiences from PSVR1. I think we'll see some ports now of PSVR1 games like I know I've mentioned this before in predictions I think as well, but Wipeout I think is a complete no-brainer to move across. Like, it's such an impressive game anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is ridiculous that it's not available.
Yeah.
So I think those are some real quick wins. If there's a smart person at the helm, they'll go, right, we could port this relatively easily and we'll make X amount of money for not much outlay. Let's just do that. And it also bolsters the first party library. So I think that's like Nintendo did with the Switch.
Yeah, I was just going to say
bringing over the Wii U stuff. It's just such a no-brainer thing to do, so I think they need to do that. And
also, consumers don't mind, like, because of the Switch.
No.
So people just want to play the games, and especially if you can make it where existing owners get the upgrade path, for 10 quid, you can just pay to upgrade because you do a port and you'll up-res it and increase the frame rate and put some haptics in and stuff like that. So it won't just be a straight port. So there'll be some value to paying a bit of money to upgrade it. But for newcomers, who missed out on all these PSVR games, it's just, they're so stupid if they don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, some of the best games we've got are from the previous generation, really, aren't they? Like
Pistol Weapons.
Tetris Effect is incredible to play. Thumper, brilliant still. So why not put some more across?
Yeah, Beat Saber. Yeah.
Yep.
Go on.
So I was just going to say, I suppose the interesting thing you said there about if you get someone smart at the helm, and that's a point we really need to take into consideration at the moment, is that torch is about to be passed over. Like, we're literally in the last few weeks of Jim Ryan's tenure. So there is change about to happen, and what that means for PlayStation as a whole could be a very interesting few months, because obviously it's clear now that whole games as a service direction has been pivoted on. Like, they're not going in that direction anymore, and you can tell that there will be some, but it's going to be an interesting 9-12 months.
I mean, if the new person, the direction is that we tried PSVR2, it's not getting the numbers for us. We need to kind of read other resources away from it. We can't justify developing games from scratch from it. I understand that, it's a business at the end of the day. If they're not getting the numbers for it, then don't devote resources to it. And they did the same with the Vita. But to still say, look, okay, we can't make new games for it, but at least we can just get some porting studio to port across some of the games just to fill out the library for the next year or two, just so people have got some stuff to play. Because even people that own PSVR1 will probably happily pay to replay some of the games upgraded and stuff, and it gives them something to do with the headset still, and just not completely get pissed off with Sony. So just even if they are going to make new games for it still, which I hope they are, put these in as well to fill in the gaps, like Switch, Nintendo did with the Switch. Because there's be eager audience, keen to buy these games.
And I'm sure they will, because Herman Hulst properly called it out and part of his kind of opening gambit on the state of play. So I mean, it's in their thinking. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, Ben, you got another one? Or was that you just
Road Rash?
Road Rash, yeah.
Road Rash is coming back. There's going to be a VR mode.
Okay,
there we go. I just think that would work extremely well. I don't know what made me think about that game the other day, but I thought, imagine that in VR. Swinging a big chain around your head and then just whacking someone off their motorbike as you race past them.
Boom.
That would be cool.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think probably more likely is my prediction, Farpoint 2. Farpoint, big, we're talking about ports game to come over. That could be a candidate for one that comes over, but I actually think they could make a sequel for that, because that one was 2017. That one came out. It was very well liked. Big it's very kind of Sony sort of game, that kind of sci-fi shooter. It's a bit kind of Starship Troopers-esque, lots of shooting lots of space bugs. I think a sequel to that could be on the cards. It was published by Sony, so I'm assuming they own the IP. The developer doesn't seem to be up to much else, so yeah, why not?
And you think that's more likely than Road Rash?
Yeah,
we shall see, Lawrence.
On the basis of iteration, that there is something there to be built on.
Yeah, time will tell.
So yeah, Alex, you got any more?
Just Astrobot. It's got to happen.
It's
got to happen.
I don't think it will. I genuinely don't think it will.
Sure.
I think we'll. I think
we might get a new game.
No, I think we'll get a port, but I think it'll be a hybrid if there's anything. I think there'll be I think based on how popular Astro's Playroom was, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think.
Well, we'll find out this year what they're actually doing. Yeah, that's my prediction. My other prediction was that Housemarque will make a VR game. I can see Housemarque making a VR game.
Yeah. I think we've said that before.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's a
really hope that
a really high chance to that one. Even I don't think it'll be Returnal in VR. Like, I don't think they'll convert that into VR or give it a VR mode. But I think they'll do something in the vein of like a kind of mix between the size of Resogun and then the scale of Returnal.
Yeah, that'll be amazing. Come on, make it happen.
Okay, well, my last one, which is not really much of a prediction, but I think PSVR2 will get a big price cut this year, or a mega bundle with a bunch of games thrown in, like they did with PSVR1. I think around the 1 year anniversary, I think they'll cut the price to try and move more units, or they'll either cut the price or they'll throw in kind of half a dozen games and keep the price as is. But I think that just makes a lot of sense, and if it would be a mega bundle with games like Synapse and Horizon and maybe like Firewall or something, just because they've got that there, just sat there now.
Maybe we'll get Astrobot as a birthday present.
Oh god. One, I hope they do really just put you out of your misery at some point. I can't bear to see your disappointed face.
It's fine. I'm just going to play Max Mustard. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay, I think that was. Well, I can't remember if that was 3 or 4. I don't know. As with all the things with us, it's not very organised. But we'll see how many of those come true over the following year. Do you have any final thoughts, gents, before we round off the show?
Well,
no.
Oh, go on, Alex.
I was just going to say, because if you want, we have a little giveaway.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. How could I forget?
We do, thanks to our friends at Wolf and Wood. We've got 3 copies of Hotel R&R to give away, and we We thought the best way to do it, and we often do these giveaways in YouTube, but we thought we'd try and open it up to everyone. So tell us your predictions, and tell us in whatever way you want. So subscribe and like and comment on our YouTube video. You can send us a Q&A. You can respond in the Q&A part of our Spotify episode. You can leave it in a review comment on Apple Podcasts. But just tell us your prediction for PSVR2 for the next year, and tell us how we can contact you, and we'll pick 3 people to give those codes to.
And maybe next week we'll run through some of the some of the predictions we get. But I don't know. We're going to pick them at random, are we not? We're picking the ones we like the most, or the ones we
just
at random.
Just be random. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So try and make us laugh. Try and be really clever. Up to you. We'll just pick them randomly, but we'll read out some of our favourite ones anyway. Whether you win or not, we'll read out some of the favourite ones next week.
And given we're up to our anniversary, we might even find a few extra little bits and pieces and give away to maybe more than 3 of you.
Ooh, look at you, showing off. Right, thank you, Alex, for remembering that. Otherwise, we would have forgotten that one. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could please tell your friends and family all about us. And if you want to get more involved with a bunch of idiots, please do not hesitate to drop into our Discord and say hello. And thank you to everyone that has already done so. Last but absolutely not least, thank you to our patrons for supporting the work we do. We love you all. I've been your host, Laurie. These two have been Ben and Alex, and we will see you again next time. Until then, though, it's goodbye.